What? Did we just become best friends? Yeah!
One is a t-shirt queen, and the other is an SEO and web developing ninja. And both of these squirrels are a little nuts. You're now listening to the More Gooder Ideas podcast, a show for the small business hustlers worldwide, encouraging you to be your most authentic self. This is the place where your whole story matters. Come for the tips and stay for the fun. Now, your hosts, Angie Patterson and Jay Smith.
Start recording. Okay. Close. Make sure we're on the right camera. We are. Now what? Wrestling. Okay. Yeah. You want to talk about the Netflix documentary about our beloved local OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling?
Woo! We love you, OVW.
We do.
Hope you're watching.
I have been there before many times. Before we get started, this will be our first spoiler alert, I believe, of the More Gooder Ideas podcast. We are going to discuss a Netflix documentary that just came out about a month ago called The Wrestlers. That's about Ohio Valley Wrestling here in Louisville, Kentucky. We are big fans of it, and we are going to talk in depth about quite a few things on that documentary. So if you have not seen it yet, you probably don't want to listen to this because we will ruin every single minute of it for you. So go watch the damn thing and then come back and check this out.
Little backstory. I'm from this area, so I'm familiar with OVW, but I actually became more aware of them after my mother was an extra in a movie that starred Al Snow.
Okay.
And that's how I kind of became familiar with Al Snow and his wrestling history.
Okay.
And so I'm a fan of his acting a little bit, if you will. So I was really excited to hear that he was having a documentary on Netflix.
Sure.
I didn't really realize what it was about until you were like, you have to watch this documentary now. We're going to talk about it on the podcast. I'm like, well, of course I want to support this person who I consider to be my friend. He has no idea who I am.
But basically, we're best friends.
There's only like 3 degrees separating us, so I consider him a friend. I've met him several times. I've also been to and worked several horror conventions and locally, and Al Snow is typically there. I've met Al Snow a few times at those events, but anyways, I was really excited to watch it because I feel like he's a personal friend, and 15 minutes into the first episode, I was completely enthralled.
Yeah, it's a good documentary. I was surprised by how in-depth I got to know Matt Jones. Who, along with Greg Greenberg, who's now the mayor, this was before the mayoral election, I believe, was when this was filmed in 2022. But they bought in and became investors of OVW last year. And so they were trying to help them, basically get solvent. And for those of you not in the area, Matt Jones is pretty well known in sports. He owns a sports bar, I believe, in Lexington area. He's a UK honk. So he's a big proponent of the University of Kentucky. Go Cavs. Yeah, people take it way too seriously here. Sorry, I'm not local. It's the truth.
I also take it way too seriously.
Everybody does, but that's sports. People do it everywhere. It's whatever. But I had only known him as the voice of the BBN, Big Blue Nation, the AM radio show.
Kentucky Sports Radio.
Yeah, KSR, right. And I have listened to him when I used to travel for work, I listened to a lot of sports radio. And although, yes, he is a big, he's far more for Kentucky. He's also an attorney. So he's a Louisville, I believe he's Louisville-based attorney. But he's just as critical of Kentucky. So he's not just a wag. He's not just a talking head who's always for this and against this, like a lot of people are. He's very critical of some things that the program has done over the years. He has been supportive of some things that Louisville has done over the years, although, of course, it's skewed because his fan base is all, Kentucky fans. But I was really, really surprised and really hit me when they showed him have a seizure, an epileptic seizure during the show. I was like, oh my God. And they finished an episode with it, and I was like, I'm kind of surprised because it was also an episode, and they did a very good job of pacing this documentary to almost give it a professional wrestling type arc storyline, because Greenberg didn't really have, he would pop in and here, but he wasn't really a character, really. Whereas Matt Jones was definitely a character.
Yeah.
Towards the end of that episode, it was kind of the one episode where it was kind of cresting as him as kind of the villain of this situation, because the wrestlers didn't like him. He wasn't communicating well with Al. He was trying to kind of just impose it, and that's the way it made it look. You know, you got to take it with a grain of salt when you're watching documentary, because there is definitely a lens on it. I'm not saying it's not true, but I watch those things with a very critical eye, because I know things like Making a Murderer and other documentaries have really swayed public opinion. And then later on down the road, it's like, no, that was just how it was filmed. Not to say that Making a Murderer was like that, but a lot of documentaries have gone like that. But at the end of that episode, he has a full-on, and they don't shy away from it. They show it for a couple minutes, and it's jarring. And then the next episode is where that villain arc kind of goes down, and he starts to have a better relationship with wrestlers and with Al. And whoever actually paced and wrote and edited that documentary did a very good job of that.
Oh my gosh. That was my first thought as I'm like trying to collect my thoughts about it. The beautiful thing about it, and this should convince you to go and watch it if you haven't already, is it is about wrestling. It also, the storyline and the way you feel about the characters, which are real people doing their real jobs, does feel like the story arc of coming up to a pay-per-view. Again, spoiler alert, which is kind of the story in the documentary. And it feels so raw that I went back and forth in my mind a lot of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how honest and raw this is. And then I was like, are they pulling a wrestling trick on us again?
Right.
Like, is any of this true
Right.
at all? Because, I mean, it was just like every emotion you would feel, whether you have any connection to wrestling or not. Every episode was a roller coaster of emotions, and you loved this person, and then you hated them, and then you were like, ick, and then you kind of had empathy for them, and then, I mean, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And it sucks you in so quickly that, I was like, is this even a documentary, or is this a mockumentary? Is this just...
If it is masterfully done.
I mean, and the cinematography is beautiful. It does not feel like, I think it said at the beginning it was produced by BBC or a pretty big company. Al Snow said something at the beginning that I thought was a perfect way to describe wrestling, but also so many other things that apply to small businesses, which wrestling is a business. He said everything about wrestling is real except for the intention.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a great way to explain wrestling, just in general. It was such a great line to kind of start the story of the documentary, was these are real people, this is real athleticism, but the intention really is to entertain. It's not to
harm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have so many feelings about it.
Yeah, it was very well done. I was impressed. I didn't know what to expect. Just because I was just like, all right, I mean, let's watch it, because you never know. Like, you know, I've started 1,000 documentaries, and it's like boring.
I thought it was going to be about Al Snow's career in wrestling, which they do visit in the documentary. I didn't realize it was about Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Yeah,
going into it.
Yeah, no, I was impressed by the whole thing, especially when they were on the road show and showing them in Nashville the night before SummerSlam, where all the big stars are, and they were just out in a parking lot trying to rustle up people to come watch them perform. And then Haley J and her mom getting a chance to go out to the West Coast and be with that other kind of next level organization that's got a little more money behind it, a little more flash. There was a lot of dramatic points, and it's a really good documentary if you haven't watched it.
We want you to go watch it. We want you to give it the double thumbs up on Netflix, because as much as we enjoy the entertainment of wrestling and talking about wrestling, and then my personal friend Al Snow, obviously we want to support him.
Sure.
But OVW is a small business in our area, and we want them to succeed. And this is such an amazing platform that most businesses do not get. To be on a streaming service like Netflix with a high quality, entertaining series that I really hope that people will watch it and support it. And then in turn, they'll want to support OVW.
Yeah. So I reached out to the guy who's kind of beset the whole time trying to get their marketing up, who's doing their videography and, you know,
His
walking down
family.
Bardstown Road and taping up stuff to get people to come to a show and constantly feeling like his job's on the line, that kind of thing. I reached out to him because I'm like, hey, you know, the Atherton High School students it'd be a really cool story for them to come in and help and learn from you and all that stuff. And he goes, man, it's been crazy since the documentary. Of course, he's got thousands of emails, like everybody hitting him up, which is awesome. You know, and at the very beginning, like you learned that, you know, for those of us that grew up with wrestling, you knew there were OVWs throughout. Like this was a very big circuit and people learned their way up and fought their way up. You know, if you read the autobiography of Ric Flair, you learn how he went through these trials and tribulations and fought his way up with like people like Chief Wahoo who actually kind of built him up and got him to the big stage. And OVW is the last one left. Like there's the second tier one that's in Florida now, and there's WWE. Other than that, there's really not any of these regional conglomerate wrestling type things, and it's a full school. So you can pay and actually learn professional wrestling at OVW. They'll train you.
And it's not just the physicality part of it. They show a lot of the behind the scenes of that process of how there is these story arcs and like the referees. This might sound silly to people who have like watched wrestling for a long time. I had no idea that the referees were a means of communication from the producers to the performers.
Yeah.
That blew my mind.
Sure.
Because they're not, you know, they're in on the gig when you watch a match, but I never realized how integral they were to the actual performance.
I will bet most people don't realize that the story is unfolding as it happens with like Al
Improv.
in their ear saying, all right, back off, pace, now go. He's
keep going.
Yeah, he's like a football manager calling plays as it's happening real time. And to do that while you're also flying through the air, trying to hit somebody in the face with your elbow without actually hitting them in the face with the elbow.
Yeah.
That's tough, man. That's crazy.
Oh, just the talent of the people on here. And then it switches and it's them at their day job.
Right.
One of the gentlemen was talking about, you know, his fight to really become big in the wrestling world, to take care of his family. And as he's kind of giving his history, it's showing him unpacking Qdoba or something like that for a catering order. Just to hear how passionate he was about that, and then to see, but this is what I have to do to take care of my family and to support my pursuit of this passion.
Yeah. I think it's just, it's one of those things where it's an absolute gem that we have here that no one else has anywhere. And I don't think most of Louisville even recognizes that it's there.
Yeah, I've seen so many people post on Facebook, oh my gosh, I just got done watching the wrestling documentary. We're going to get tickets to OVW next week.
Yeah.
You know, that they may have never even considered that.
Sure. I mean, it's been there forever. I took Deacon there, oh gosh, it's probably been 10 years ago, because one of his schoolmates, his I believe it was his uncle, was a wrestler there, the Ice Cream Man.
Cool.
And so he had gone through the training program, and he came out and he had the old 1950s Ice Cream Man outfit, and he would hand out missile pops to the kids in the crowd. It was great. It was so much fun. And you know, so it's funny the timing wise, because I think it was 3 weeks ago or so, Susan and I went to see The Undertaker. He was doing a one-man.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, he's doing a one-man show where he just talks about his experiences and tells some stories. It was very interesting. Most of it was just kind of like the same old, you know, me and three other crazy wrestlers going down 65 and the police pull up on us and all this other stuff. And so it was, you know, just kind of battle stories. But the one thing he said right at the end, which was just so impactful, he said, we're not athletes. We're not wrestlers. We're storytellers. They tell stories. And I think having heard that, and that being the one takeaway I really had from that show, and then watching this documentary and watching Al Snow not only tell the story as it's going through and help build these stories, but also fight against someone who's trying to, with the best of intentions, grow the business by not being so focused on the story and focus more on a gimmick or, cats versus cards kind of stuff, which he kind of bristled at because he's like, that's not a story, that's a gimmick. So it was very impressive. And honestly, it's a shame that it's not sold out every Thursday night. As small as the arena is, that I think people should be turned away. I think they should have to add another weeknight of
It's funny that you say your biggest takeaway was kind of the storytelling because I guess after we had talked about it, I know we're going to talk about it. So I watched it with maybe a different lens. And I watched it with my husband who, does not have his own small business at this time. And there was something, the biggest takeaway for me
is he going to become a wrestler? That'd be awesome.
That would be really cool. He's part of OVW now. We were talking about kind of our biggest takeaway was the tale as old as time is the person who feels like your enemy, but you rely on them for something. So like the wrestlers and Al, they have these confrontations with Matt and the mayor because they're just coming and throwing money at this and they don't know what we do and they're not down here in the muck with us, but they're the ones cutting our paychecks. So at the end of the day, we have to have some sort of respect for them. Sure. And isn't that the tale as old as time? Yeah. Regardless of, what
I don't think it's really Beauty and the Beast, but yeah, I get you.
If you have ever had a job and you never felt that way about your boss or your boss's boss, they have no idea what they're doing. They don't understand. But I'm going to be nice because I don't want to get fired, right?
Well, we talked about this many episodes ago, that challenge when you transition from frontline person to supervision, because now you're one foot in both worlds. And you learn why decisions are made at the higher level that would not be popular on the front line because they're for the overall good, ideally. Not always.
And that's where Al kind of is.
Yeah.
He understands that they won't be able to do what they keep doing without them as far as finances go, but he doesn't want to lose that continuity that they have built with this, their TV show, essentially. And I felt like even if you're not really into wrestling, that was the one thing that everybody can kind of relate to is that, the struggle against the man, but also having to rely on him too, and how you can find that balance. And they do a really great job of just making you feel a lot of empathy for each of the players. Yeah. In the game, just like you said, even with Matt, where you kind of feel like, oh, this guy's such a dick, know? And they really play it up of like, this guy is the worst.
Well, and not half of Kentucky, but a good portion of this city already is predetermined to dislike him anyway.
Yeah.
Because of
he's the UK guy.
Right. So it's easy, and of course it's Netflix. So not everyone watching it is here, although I think probably a higher proportion just because it's a local thing.
They really set him up to be the bad guy. And
they do.
And you start to feel like you were saying earlier, you start to feel like, maybe he's not the bad guy. Maybe there isn't a bad guy. Maybe there's just a struggle that everybody's going through together. One of the scenes that stuck with me is the first event that they go to. I think it's at Country Boy. And they are doing this little, montage of them getting ready before the show, and they're outside and they're trying to sell their t-shirts and their headshots and, trying to rile up the line of people going in. And then it shows all the people flocking to Matt Jones. I'm a big UK fan. We listen to you every day. I think there's like a little girl and the dad or something. And he's like, she loves listening to you on the radio or something like that. And, it kind of plucks at your heartstrings to see these people out there hustling so hard, for just that little bit of something, which, we can assume that Matt Jones did that. He didn't just get a radio show and become the most popular sports radio show in the region, Right. And I thought that was that really kind of pushed you towards wanting to root for the wrestlers.
Sure.
They're the underdogs, and we're gonna root for them. How can you not love, watching something where you have somebody to root for and that you want them to succeed so bad? I just loved it. I want everybody to watch it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was impressed, and it was like 6 episodes, maybe 8. It wasn't so long that it's like, okay, Ken Burns, we get it. Civil War, American Revolution.
Really, it was a roller coaster of emotions. I mean, there were times where you felt sad, or you're like, oh, I just want to give that person a hug or whatever. But there was also those feelings of like, yeah, they did it, or I can't believe that just happened.
Right.
That's amazing. And I really liked how
when Haley finally fought her mom and then came back and hugged her.
And they
ruining
go to
everything. Spoiler, I don't care.
And they go to the back and everybody's like, yeah, that was crazy.
Right.
Like I said, if they're pulling some kind of wrestling story trick on me, I'll be really upset.
Yeah, I don't.
But I liked how they also incorporated some of the history of wrestling, Al's personal history in wrestling. It felt educational in a lot of different ways, but really relatable.
Sure.
And that's what I liked the most about it. And I think really is what made me want to talk about it even more here, because I feel like so many people doing so many different things can find not just entertainment value, but things that you could put towards your own business or your entrepreneurship journey.
Sure.
From, not just the individual careers, but the business aspect of OVW specifically. I think that was really fascinating too, how they kind of talked about the finances and how that was working and why they were doing things they did.
So that brings up another Louisville action sports group.
Roller derby.
Louisville Roller Derby, right. They are back after a long pandemic-infused hiatus. Their first match is actually this upcoming Friday, September 30th, or Saturday. I won't be there because of Bellarmine's Parents Weekend, but I've already been in contact with them, and we're going to do an on-site podcast, I think.
Are we going to put on roller skates? Are they going to teach us how to roller derby?
No, absolutely not. I am way too breakable for that kind of shit.
Okay.
No. No.
I mean, I don't want to get knocked down, but it would be cool for them to take me around.
But me on wheels, no. You might as well just put me in an ambulance if you're going to put me on wheels, because that's where I'm headed. No. There's no good happens if I'm going to get on wheels.
I'm sorry for laughing.
I mean, it's true. So, but yeah, that'll be exciting. I was hoping to get the Atherton students involved in some videography with them, but everything they do is late at night, including their practices. Although they do have a junior roller derby team that practices on Saturdays, so I may work out something there. I have to talk to JCPS and see if they're cool with the students doing something kind of outside of school hours. They would prefer to do it during school hours because it's within their kind of oversight, which is totally understandable. And I'm a business partner with JCPS, but they are such a phenomenal partner in supporting every stupid idea I come up with in order to get these kids real world experience in videography and creative careers that, like, the last thing I am ever going to do is just try and poke at JCPS and say, you should really do this. No, like, I'm going to work within your boundaries. Because, the ultimate goal for both of us is to promote creative careers for these students. And side note, got the first one, a full-time job a few weeks ago.
Yay!
With Bridgehaven. So that's pretty awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Maybe
awesome.
We can get one of them to produce this podcast for us.
Yeah, because I suck.
No, you're doing great, Jay. That's not what I meant.
No, but I could spend my time doing, like, actual paid work.
Yeah. Get one of these high school kids. They'll make us look good. They'll make us look cool.
I was just there last week, and one of them approached me asking how he could start getting work doing video production. So maybe we'll see.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I want to encourage everybody to go watch The Wrestlers on Netflix. Give it the double thumbs up. And if you are in the Kentuckiana area, please go check out Ohio Valley Wrestling. Support not only a business in our area, but a national treasure. We'll just say that.
Run by
my personal friend, Al Snow.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Should I say what I said already?
Did you already say an outro?
Well,
I mean, I'm not questioning you. I'm
No.
literally asking like I wasn't fucking here.
Who knows?
Okay.
So if you listen to this whole episode without watching the documentary, we're sorry if we spoiled it for you, but we
No, we're
warned
not.
you.
No,
we
we're
warned
not.
you.
Not sorry. Wait a minute. We were doing the outro and the camera was on me. Start over.
So if you've made it this far in the episode and you have not watched Netflix's The Wrestlers, we are not sorry for spoiling it for you.
No.
If anything, we hope this encouraged you more to go and watch it. Give it a double thumbs up on Netflix and, show some love for OVW and my close personal longtime friend, Al Snow. My name is Angie.
And I'm Jay. And just for another disclaimer that we should have put at the beginning, this episode was not sponsored by OVW, Al Snow, Haley J, Matt Jones, KSR, or Netflix.
Or the University of Kentucky.
Or the University of Kentucky, or anyone. This wasn't sponsored by anybody. Nobody is paying us to say this stuff. So we will see you next week. Thank you so much for staying with us. We are 5 episodes away from joining the top 1% of all podcasts.
Congratulations to us.
In 5 episodes. Not yet.
If we make
You always
got
to keep the getting hit by a bus factor there.
Don't say
like, God damn it. They made it to 12%, but he got hit by a bus and
rest in peace. I'll keep going.
I know you will.
The next 5 episodes.
shit. I know you will. You're a ghoul. You won't give a shit
It'll
about
be like
me.
Weekend at Bernie's. Be like, wow, Jay's really quiet these last few episodes.
That dude never shuts up. Is he drunk? What's going on?
Every time he's talking, her finger is under his mouth.
You got a fish hook and a line. Yeah. Okay, we're off the rails now. We're
Hey,
all right.
see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for checking out this episode of the More Gooder Podcast. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at More Gooder Ideas and search us up on Facebook, the More Gooder Ideas Podcast. And don't forget to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode.